Hello and welcome to today's Your Daily Five. I'm Tom Bowley, Chief Market Strategist at earningsbeats.com, and I'll be happy to join you today on this Thursday, June 25th, 2020. Just want to point everyone to Earnings Beats. If you're interested, do have a free newsletter, the Earnings Beats Digest. You just sign up with your name, email address, hit subscribe, talk a little bit about relative strength and earnings and so forth. You also can check out our portfolios and how they've performed relative to the S&P 500. For today, I've got 5 charts for you, and I thought what I would do is take a look at our 5 chart lists that we keep as part of our service at Earnings Beats. These are 5 chart lists that we send out to our members, and the first one here is the short squeeze chart list. And what I have are the companies in this name here. You can see the percentage. This is the short percentage of float. And so all of these stocks, these are the most heavily shorted stocks, all the way down to about 20% of float. So it's in order from the percentages. And so this is actually used for any breakouts. We want to look for short squeezes. So if we see a stock that's performing well, these are the highest shorted stocks. So I can come across here, maybe take a look at some of these that are doing well and see if maybe we're clearing some key levels. If the volume's strong, we could be in for a nice little short squeeze. So that's one of the things I do. Now, when I look at this, when I went through this list, the one stock that really stood out to me was APT. This is Alpha Pro Technology. And so you can see the huge move up back in January and February. This is a company that manufactures protective gear. So they do the N95 masks and so forth. But this is a very, very heavily shorted stock. And what I liked about it is the volume that's been coming in here in June, and the breakout above this triple top, which was just around that 1750 level. We made that breakout. I'm going to give you an update here on the chart, see where we are now. We're at 1889 today, down 27 cents. But the breakout, I'll annotate this for you. If you look at those recent highs, you can see we never closed above about 1740 or so, maybe 1730, until just here this week. And we're making this breakout and doing it with increasing volume. So I think this one's got a chance for a run to the upside based on that short squeeze theory. The only thing I would say is that it is extremely volatile. So make sure that you're comfortable taking these kinds of risks. The stock was over 20 earlier, went back to 17.25. Now it's back to 1889. So there's a lot of volatility associated with this. So make sure that that's something you don't mind dealing with. Next up, another chart list that we have is our strong earnings chart list. And I would consider this really to be our flagship chart list. I mean, I love organizing my work over at StockCharts using their great tools and features, and doing all my homework and research and being able to organize it in a chart list and being able to download it, having our members download this information into their accounts is really cool. It streamlines a lot of legwork. But essentially what this chart list is it's a listing of companies that have beaten Wall Street estimates in their last quarter as to both revenues and earnings per share. These stocks are liquid, so they trade at least 200,000 shares a day. And then finally, they look pretty good technically. So when I pull them up, I either like their relative strength, I like their absolute strength, I like the way they're trading versus their peers. Something on their chart caught my eye. And so it's a combination of having a strong fundamental chart list of stocks, and then also knowing that these stocks, for the most part, carry some pretty strong technical characteristics as well. So off of this list, what I did is I ran a high volume scan this morning just to see stocks that are maybe showing some unusually high volume. And one of them was Beyond Meat. Now, this is a stock that earlier was down almost 6%. And when I pulled this chart up, I thought it was very interesting because you see this breakout level on heavy volume back on June 8th? Well, we came back down and we tested that area and we're reversing off of it. I think it actually, I like to buy stocks on pullbacks, healthy stocks or improving stocks. And I want you to check out this breakout right above that 143 level. We came down and went as low as 136 today, and now we're reversing back up. I think that this potential short-term breakdown triggered a lot of stops, and as a result, market makers were able to accumulate inventory in the stock, and now we've got Beyond Meat turning back to the upside. I really like this. We'll see whether or not it holds into the close, but this is a stock clearly that just using our chart list and then our scans, we provide our members with scan syntax as well, you can quickly come up with some really good trading candidates. And I think Beyond Meat is one of those. The next chart list I wanted to tell you about was our strong AD chart list. This is strong accumulation distribution, and it was designed originally just for stocks that appeared to be accumulated back in that phase when the pandemic first started. So I'm looking back to March, April. These were companies that were gapping down just like every other company, but during the day, they were actually trading higher. And so throughout about a month period, these are stocks that were going down, but their accumulation distribution was going up. And so one stock on this list that caught my eye today, you can see LVGO down 5%. I'll give you an update on the chart, see where we are. But currently we're at $70. The stock's been coming back down, but you've got some overhead resistance that we cleared around 65. So this is one that was up near 80 just recently. Now, earlier today, it was down to 69. If it were to get back, test that 20-day moving average where we've seen a lot of support, this would be a stock that I'd want to keep on a very close eye on in the near term in the event the market is weak. On a relative basis, you can see it's been very strong relative to the software group. Software has been strong relative to the S&P 500. So it looks really good. The last thing I'll show you on this LVGO chart is when you look at the accumulation distribution, you see how March we went down, and yet this stock was actually breaking out in March to new accumulation distribution highs. These are the kinds of stocks that were put on that chart list. I would probably refer to them as like the leading pandemic stocks, the stocks that while the pandemic was taking place, these stocks began to show a lot of leadership, and you can see what's happened since then, where you've got a number of areas like airlines and so forth trying just to get back even close to where they were back in March or February at the highs. You can see a stock like LVGO just absolutely soaring in this environment. So that kind of represents what's on our strong AD chart list. Now, the opposite of that chart list is the weak AD chart list. And so these were stocks that not only were gapping down back in March and April, but they kept selling off during the day. So their AD lines were extremely poor and continued moving lower. And if you check out the list, for the most part, even the ones that were gaining today, I'll give you an update here, see where we are. But here are the stocks that are gaining. But look at these scooters. See how these scooters are all very low? These are stocks that really have not done well over the last 3 to 6 months, but they're having pretty good days today. If I was going to short in this market, this is the list I would go to. And so one stock that I thought stood out to me was this Core Labs, not because it's broken down, but because it's getting close. And if it were to break down, I'd be pretty anxious maybe on the short side if that was the thing you do. Look at these lows right here. All of these lows coming in at about $19. Today's low was $19.04. 50-day moving average is $19.24. If we were to reverse back down to the downside, this is a stock that I would be definitely more interested in on the short side, or certainly to sell. But take a look here as we went down. See the difference? The group was going down. The stock on a relative basis was going down. It has come back, but it's in a very, very weak group. Here's its group relative to the S&P 500. So, and if you look at something like the AD line right here, see how the stock was going down and the AD line went down with it? That's different than what we were seeing on many of these other stocks where the AD line actually was rising throughout March. So that's the difference between that strong AD list and the weak AD list. And then the final chart list that we have, just created this one this week, is what I'm calling the strong future earnings chart list. These are stocks that are trading exceptionally well, very strong. Look at their scooters here, very strong scooters, but for whatever reason, they're not on my strong earnings chart list. So I think Wall Street is favoring these companies, but we haven't yet seen their earnings. I think that it could result in some very strong earnings for some of these companies. But on this list in particular, one stock that I saw was NLOK, which was Norton LifeLock. And I just wanted to mention this because this was one that had an RSI between 40 and 45. I like to try and get these stocks on pullbacks. And look at the stock NLOK coming right back down near the support area at 19. Just a month ago, the stock was trading up near 23. So it's an opportunity running that RSI 40 to 45 scan to find a stock, a healthy stock, a good stock, but one that's been pulling back presents us a better opportunity. Those are your daily 5 for today. Appreciate being included here. Everybody have a great day. Happy trading.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.